Okay, so today we're going to talk about frequency distribution. So we are on chapter 2 now, a new chapter. So if you go to page 41, on the top of page 41, there is a table there, table 2-1. Drive-through service times, seconds for McDonald's lunches. So they actually tested how long it takes, right, to get through an order, okay? And obviously McDonald's is very interested in this because they want to do this quicker, right? And the real reason why they want to do this is what? They want to sell more stuff, right? They want to sell more stuff. Right? So to sell more stuff, you have to figure out why people are not selling stuff quick, right? So you have to find out what your average time is, correct? So you need to find that first, okay? So if you look at that table, what can you say?
Basically all over the
Oh no, there's one that's 90. There's ones that's 308. I don't know what happened there, unless somebody ordered lunch for like the football team. I don't know, right? Okay. So anyway, I mean, there really isn't much you can tell by just taking a glance at it, right? It's kind of hard. The data's not organized. It's all over the place. No idea what's going on. Do we even know how many data points there are? Don't even know that. Okay, so we're going to put this into a frequency table. So we're going to go to page 42, and we're looking, if there's a definition there, on page 42 top, it says the frequency distribution or frequency table shows how data are partitioned among several categories or classes by listing the categories along with a number of data values. So on the left-hand side, table 2 is what they have, right? They have 7 to 124, 125 to 174, 175 to 224, 225 to 274, 275 to 324, and they have, so there are 5 different categories, right? They blocked the time in 5 blocks, correct? Okay, so each of them is a category there, right? It's a class, okay? So if you look at the thing there, so what do they do? So they defined the classes, right, as 75 to 124 and so on and so on and so forth, and then they're just going to put tick marks on it as they go, correct? So they're going to look through, they're going to go back to the original data and go 107, okay, that's between 75 and 124, I put a tick there. 139, I put a tick in the 125 to 174, so on and so forth. And they did that, and they found that 11, 24, 10, 3, and 2. So now, when you look at this frequency table, what can you tell me about the data? Where would you guess the median to be? Median meaning the median point, right? The point that's in the middle. What?
140.
Well, somewhere between 125 and 174, right? We know somewhere between there, right? If I were to ask you if there are any outliers, what would you say? Yeah, so you can say that there's a possible couple outliers there, right? It looks like they're way out there on all them by themselves, right? So you can talk about that, okay? But anyway, so we have some sort of an idea. We can make educated guesses at the distribution, okay? And that's the whole point of doing this, okay? So the question is, how did they come up with these classes? Where did they come up with that, okay? What do they do? So if you go to the bottom of there are the definitions. There are lower class limit and upper class limits. So each class or category, so between 225 and 274, the lower class limit for that class would be 225, upper would be 274. The class midpoint would be what? 225 plus 274 divided by 2, correct? Right in the middle, smack in the middle. Okay? So you could do that. Class width would be the 274 minus 225, right? That makes sense? Okay? All right. So the only thing that we need class boundaries. Class boundaries are the numbers used to separate the classes, but without class boundaries is kind of hokey. Read it, understand it, but it's not something that you should pay a whole lot of attention to. Okay. So let's go to page 43. If we go to page 43, it actually tells you what the class boundary is, the class limits, upper, lower, the midpoint, and all that good stuff. Okay. So go to page 43. Okay, it shows you the procedure for constructing a frequency distribution. This is going to tell you how they came up with the different classes. Okay, so go ahead and read that. All the way through to number 6. Okay. Not looking at me, reading the book. Okay, we good? Are you going to need more time reading? Okay, I'll wait. Looks like you're still reading. I'll wait. Okay, so now that we've read the procedure, let's see if we can actually recreate that frequency table that they have using the original raw data on page 41. So on page 41, what's the very first thing we need to do? Looking at the table, to create it, what do we have to find? Okay, we have to decide the number of classes, yeah. So number of classes they decided is 5. Then what? Okay, in order to do that, what's the first thing you need to do? You have to find the maximum and the minimum data, correct? So let's find the maximum and the minimum data. What's the maximum data here? Huh? 308, right? So 308 minus, what's the minimum data?
8390.
No, 83.
On the right side. Oh,
83. 83. And then we're going to do 5, correct?
Yes.
So we have what? What is this? 5, 225, 5,
45.
45. So the book says, well, okay, it's 45, so we'll just use 50. Okay? So we're just going to use 50. So nice even number, 50, right? So our first one is we start exactly from 83. Or do you want to leave ourselves a little room here? A little room? Okay. So the book starts at what? 75? So that's how they pick 75, right? So 75 to next 50, right? Would be what? You add 50 to this, you get what? 125, right? Because 125 is this. 175 to 25 to 75, and then you're going to go to not quite 175, not quite 225, not quite 275. Add 50 to that, it's 325. Right? That way, this guy is covered, and this guy is covered. And here, and here. Right? Okay. So then we're going to go like this. Call up the data, starting from the very first one. What's the first data?
Like, just in a row?
Yeah, in a row.
107.
107.
139.
1 through what?
139.
Okay.
197.
197. 209. 201.
281.
Oh, 281.
254.
254.
163.
163.
150.
150.
127.
127.
308.
308.
206.
206. 187.
169.
169.
83.
And so on and so forth. So you see what we're doing here, right? This is basically what we're doing, right? To find out how many times they were in this each class. Okay? And you do that, and then you get that thing. So that's how we do that. That's how you find, or that's how you create a frequency table. Okay? So in the end, when we do all this, we ended up with that was 11, 24, what's the next one? 10, 3 and 2, correct? For a total of 35, 45, 50. So a total of 50. If you add them all up, you get 50. Okay. So this is the frequency table. So this row here is the frequency table that we just created. From this, we can create two other things. We can create a cumulative frequency table. Okay, so we can find the cumulative frequency table, and that is nothing more than what we have here, but it's cumulative, meaning it is additive, meaning this one stays the same. What did I do?
You just add numbers.
So I added this guy to that, right? This guy to that, this guy to that, this guy to that. So it's a cumulative. In other words, from 0 to 124, I have 11. 0 to 174, I have 35. From 0 to 224, I have 45, and so on and so forth, right? Because you're adding the ones that were there before. Okay? And the last thing that I can create from here is called a relative frequency table, and that is nothing more than this divided by this put in percentage points. Okay, that's why it's relative, right? It's not giving you the exact number, it's giving you the percentage out of all the data, what percent was in this class, what percent was this class, so on and so forth. So this divided by this times 100. Oops. That would be the cumulative run, right? We can't do the cumulative. We're going to have to go back to this raw data over here, right? 22, 48, 20, 6, and 4. So these are all in percents. So this would be 3 divided by 5 times 100, right? 10 divided by 50 times 100 in percents. So you have 3 different things. You have the frequency table, you have the cumulative frequency table, and then you have the relative frequency table. 3 different things, okay? You go to page 45, you can see the relative frequency distribution, and that is on table 2.4. And then you have the cumulative frequency distribution, and that is on table 2.5. All right, we good? Are we good? Okay. All right, we're going to stop right here today.